A gente parou aqui no episódio 6. There is no wind, not a cloud in the sky. Ok? Lembra lá da imagem, né? No wind. There is no wind. Clear sky. There is no wind, not a cloud in the sky. There is no wind. There is not one cloud in the sky. Lá no canto tem clouds. Mas bem aqui do meu lado, no clouds. No clouds. There, so he is talking about the weather, climate. Weather, climate. Okay? No wind, not a cloud in the sky. I have a packet, é o Sherlock falando, né? I have a packet of cigarettes to smoke, and the chairs in this hotel are unusually comfortable. Very comfortable, extremely comfortable. I do not think that I will need the carriage tonight. I do not think I'm going to need the carriage, the transportation tonight. Why? Because of the weather. The weather is amazing. The climate. No, there is not one cloud in the sky. The weather is perfect. Okay? No, lembra? No wind. Wind é o que está soprando aqui nessas árvores, ó. Soprando nessas coisas aqui. The wind. Então, no wind, no clouds in the sky. The weather is perfect. I do not believe I will need the carriage tonight. Detective Lestrade gave a laugh. Ha! I am sure, I am confident, I am certain that you, Sherlock Holmes, have decided how this case will end. I am certain, I am sure, I am confident that you, Sherlock Holmes, you have decided the conclusion, the end of this case, the conclusion, the decision, the end of this case from your study of the newspapers, based on your study of the newspapers. Tipo assim, fala sério, né, velho? You have decided in your mind, Sherlock Holmes, in your mind, you have decided, you have concluded how this case will end from reading the newspapers. Are you serious that you are going to make a conclusion based on newspapers? You have decided your opinion about the conclusion of this case based on newspapers? Are you serious? Essa foi a risada dele, foi uma ironia, tipo assim, tu decidiu sua opinião desse caso baseado em leitura de jornal, né? Fala sério. Mas it is all quite clear, and it becomes clearer, more clear, with every new fact. Still, one has to please a young woman. Still, one has to please a young woman. Still, one has to please. É porque começou a frase numa página, terminou na outra, ó. Still, one, o finalzinho dessa página. Still, one has to please a young woman. Still, one has to please. Ainda assim, one has to entertain. Somebody has to gratify. Somebody has to satisfy. Ainda assim, alguém tem que agradar. Still, one has to please. Ainda assim, alguém tem que agradar. A young woman, young opposite of old. A young woman, 18, 20, 25. And this one knows what she wants. So, still, one has to please, né? Ainda assim, alguém tem que agradar. A young woman, 18, 20, 25. And this woman knows what she wants. She has no doubt. She has no questions. She has no questions. She has no confusion in her mind, or she is not confused. She is decided. She knows exactly what she wants. This woman, ainda assim alguém tem que agradar. A young woman, só pra você não ficar confuso, ela acabou de aparecer na cena, tá? Já já a gente vai ver ela. Porque senão tem gente que já vai estar assim, ai meu Deus, eu não tô entendendo, ai meu Deus, eu não tô entendendo. Que jovem é essa? Que mulher jovem é essa? Calma, ela está sendo introduzida agora, ela vai aparecer nesta cena, nesta parte do livro, e vai explicar já já quem que é essa mulher. Só que ele está introduzindo ela, que ela vai chegar agora no local que eles estão lá no hotel. Lembra que eles estão sentados tomando chazinho? Então ela vai entrar agora. E aí a forma que ele introduziu ela foi: still one has to please a young woman, né? Ainda assim alguém tem que agradar uma jovem mulher. And this one knows what she wants. This woman, na verdade, pra gente não confundir mesmo, this young woman knows what she wants. She has no doubt, no questions. She has no confusion in her mind. She is not confused. She is decided. Baixou o ator, né? Woo! She knows exactly what she wants. This one knows what she wants. She knows exactly what she wants. She has heard of you, past of hear. I hear with my ears. I hear with my ears. She has heard of you, and she decided to ask you to come. She has heard of you, and she has decided to ask you to come. Bombing questions. She has heard of you, and she decided to ask you to come. Who, bombing questions, who has heard about Sherlock Holmes? Who? Watson, Lestrade, who? Fala. A young woman. A young woman. Who did the young woman hear about? She has heard of you. Who did she hear about? She has heard about Sherlock Holmes. Aqui é Lestrade. Essa frase é Detective Lestrade talking to Sherlock Holmes. Quando ele fala, she has heard of you. She, the young woman, has heard of you, Sherlock Holmes. Who has heard about Sherlock Holmes? A young woman. Who did the young woman hear about? Sherlock Holmes. she has heard of Sherlock Holmes. Did she read about Sherlock or did she hear about him? Did she read or did she hear about Sherlock Holmes? She has heard, not read. Me perguntaram lá na comunidade do Face, tem alguma diferença de pronúncia do read, presente, pro read, passado de read? Sim, a palavra é a mesma, read, read. Mas read, presente, read, que é a mesma pronúncia da color red, read, passado. Ok? Did she read about Sherlock or did she hear about him? She has heard, not read. Okay, so who has heard about Sherlock Holmes? A young woman. Who did the young woman hear about? Sherlock Holmes. She has heard about Sherlock Holmes. Did she read about Sherlock or did she hear about him? She has heard about him. She has heard about him. What did she do after she heard about Sherlock Holmes? What did the young woman do? What did she do? What did the young woman do? What did she do after she heard about Sherlock? She made a decision. There is a young woman. She has heard about Sherlock. She didn't read about him. She has heard about him. And after she heard, after she heard about him, she made a decision. She made a decision. What decision did she make? What decision did the young woman make? She decided to ask Sherlock Holmes something. Vamos repassar todas as perguntas. Who has heard about Sherlock Holmes? A young woman. Who did the young woman hear about? Sherlock Holmes. She has heard about Sherlock Holmes. Did she read about Sherlock or did she hear about him? She has heard, not read. What did she do after she heard about him? She made a decision. She made a decision. What decision did she make? She decided to ask something to Sherlock Holmes. She decided to ask Sherlock Holmes for something. What did she decide to ask Sherlock Holmes to do? Acabei de falar, né? She made a decision. What decision did she make? To ask something to Sherlock Holmes. What did she ask Sherlock to do? She decided to ask Sherlock to come. To come. Where did she ask Sherlock Holmes to come? To Hathaway Farm, to Herefordshire, to Boscombe Valley. Where did she ask Sherlock Holmes to come to the pretty little town of Ross. There is a young woman. She has heard about Sherlock Holmes. After she heard about him, she made a decision. She decided to ask Sherlock Holmes to come. Where did she ask Sherlock Holmes to come? To the pretty little town of Ross. To the pretty little town of Ross. Ok? Então, vamos repassar tudo isso aqui? Né? Como é que eu sei que é pretty little town of Ross? Porque foi lá que o trem chegou. E se é lá, quando ele fala she has decided you to come, se eles chegaram em Ross e ela pediu para ele come, she decided to ask Sherlock Holmes to come to Ross. Não tem outra opção. Vamos repassar então? Who has heard about Sherlock Holmes? Who? A young woman. Who did the young woman hear about? Who did the young woman hear about? Sherlock Holmes. She has heard about Sherlock Holmes. What did she do? Did she read or did she hear about Sherlock? She heard. Not read. She didn't read. She heard about Sherlock. What did she do after she heard about Sherlock? What did she do after she heard about him? After. She made a decision. What decision did she make? To ask something to Sherlock Holmes. To make a request. Lembra? Can I ask you a favor? Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you something? Can I ask you a favor? She decided to ask something to Sherlock Holmes. What did she decide to ask Sherlock Holmes to do? To come. She made a decision. She decided to ask Sherlock Holmes to come. Where did she ask him to come? Where did she ask Sherlock Holmes to come? To the pretty little, beautiful little town, city of Ross. Ross. Where did she ask him to come? To Ross. To the pretty, beautiful, little, small town, city of Ross. Ok? Essa atividadezinha é o poder para limpar a tradução da sua cabeça, limpar a sua mente da tradução e começar a pensar e responder prontamente, automaticamente em inglês, sem ficar traduzindo, sem ficar pensando. O que é o sucesso, a base para ter sucesso, para falar com nativos na vida real. Então, cara, ouve isso. Eu vou fazer várias outras aqui na aula de hoje. Na próxima aula, já fiz em aulas anteriores. Pega lá o podcast no Spotify, escuta isso, porque o áudio que eu mando no Telegram do livro não tem isso. Porque eu acho que ninguém faz isso. Não se faz isso. Então o áudio do livro não tem isso. A gente que cria aqui. Então pega o podcast do Spotify e ouve esse negócio. Todas as aulas eu faço um pouco disso. Hoje eu estou fazendo bastante, que eu quero focar nisso hoje. Isso é o poder. É o poder para te ensinar a pensar e responder prontamente em inglês, o que é a base do sucesso para falar com nativos na vida real. Toca o barco. She has heard of you and decided to ask you to come. I, Lestrade, final dessa frase aqui, ó. I, Lestrade, I told, past of tell, I spoke to her again and again that there is nothing you can do which I have not already done. But look, here's her carriage at the door. Here's her carriage. Here's her carriage at the door. Então, I told her, past of tell, I told her again and again, over and over again and again, many times, young woman, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can do that I, Lestrade, have not already done. But, look, here's her carriage at the door. Então, eu, Lestrade, told her again and again that there is nothing you, Sherlock Holmes, can do which I have not already done. I, Lestrade, have told her, the young woman, again and again, that there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can discover, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can find out, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can figure out, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can find, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can encounter that I, Lestrade, have not already found, have not already discovered, have not already found out, have not already figured out, encountered. I, Lestrade, have already found, discovered, figured out, found out, encountered everything. Sherlock Holmes will not find anything else. He will not discover anything else. I, Lestrade, have already found, I have already discovered, I have already figured out, I have already encountered, I have already discovered everything. Sherlock Holmes will not find, discover anything else. I told her again and again. Você não vai encontrar nada que eu já não encontrei. Você não vai fazer nada que eu já não fiz. I told her again and again. Mas lá tá a carruagem dela na porta. So, did Lestrade... Acabei de ter uma ideia de uma bombing questions aqui, ó. Did Lestrade try to convince the young woman? Yes or no? Did Lestrade try to convince the young woman? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. What did he try to convince her about? What did he try to convince her? To not ask Sherlock Holmes to come. Did Lestrade try to convince the young woman? Yes. What did he try to convince her of? What did he try to convince her about? Do not ask Sherlock Holmes to come. Do not call Sherlock Holmes. Do not make Sherlock Holmes come to us. Não faz ele vir. Why did he try to convince her of that? Why? Because he believes, he thinks he has already discovered everything. There is no need, no reason to call Sherlock Holmes. Estou muito empolgado aqui, tá ficando quente o quarto, rapaz. O escritório. Aliás, esse ainda não é o meu escritório. Eu desmontei o meu antigo, o novo não ficou pronto, teve um problema lá e não conseguiram me entregar e eu arrumei um escritório provisório para terminar o intensivo. Então esse aqui não é meu, nem o antigo nem o novo. É emprestado de um amigo meu, mas vamos lá. Então, I told her again and again, there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can discover that I, Lestrade, have not already discovered. Ele não vai encontrar nada que eu já não encontrei. Ele não vai fazer nada que eu já fiz. I told her again and again. I told the young woman many times. But look, here's her carriage at the door. Okay? Opa. So, did Detective Lestrade try to convince the young woman, yes or no? Yes. What did he try to convince her of? About? To not call, not ask Sherlock Holmes to come to us. Why did he try to convince her of that? Because he believes, he thinks, he has already discovered everything. Did she listen to him? Yes or no? No. I told her again and again and again, but look, here's her carriage at the door. Eu falei, tentei explicar, mas... Ah lá tá ela. Na porta. How did she come? Did she drive a car? Did she ride a bike? Did she get a bus? How did she come to the hotel? Carriage. She took, she used her carriage. She has. Olha só que pergunta boa. Whose carriage is that? Is it Sherlock's carriage? Who does the carriage belong to? Lembra lá? Pertencer. Is it the carriage of Sherlock? Is it Sherlock's carriage? Is it the carriage of Watson? Watson's carriage? Is it the carriage of Lestrade? Lestrade's carriage. Quando a gente bota o apóstrofo S é o possessive, né? Pertence ao Lestrade. Is it Lestrade's carriage? It's her carriage. It belongs to her. It's hers. It's the young woman's carriage. Para eu usar esse it's hers, eu tenho que ter implícito do que eu estou falando. A única diferença entre it's her carriage para it's hers, a única diferença é que quando eu uso it's hers, já está óbvio do que eu estou falando, e para não ser redundante, Whose carriage is that? De quem que é essa carruagem? It's her carriage. Eu aponto para ela. Ninguém faz isso na vida real. De quem que é esse telefone? É dele. Ninguém fala, é o telefone dele. Não. De quem que é o telefone? Dele. Se eu não estiver querendo enfatizar, eu não vou falar it's her carriage. Eu vou falar it's hers. It belongs to her. It's her carriage, it's hers. Quando eu uso hers, mine, yours, theirs, ours, está implícito. Quando eu falo mine ao invés de my, quando eu falo yours ao invés de your, it's yours. I'm yours. Lembra daquela música? I'm yours. Ao invés de falar your, tan, tan, tan. Quando eu falo hers ao invés de her, bam, bam, bam. Quando eu falo ours ao invés de our house, it's ours. Ao invés de our house, it's theirs. Ao invés de it's their house. É porque tá óbvio do que eu tô falando e eu não preciso ser redundante. Então, whose carriage is that? It's hers. It's the young woman's carriage. It's the carriage of the young woman. It's her carriage. It belongs to her. Mas eu já usei a carruagem na pergunta. A mulher tá na minha frente, eu só aponto e falo it's hers. Porque tá óbvio que eu estou falando dela e que eu estou falando que a carruagem é dela. Então não preciso falar it's her carriage. It's hers. It's the carriage of the young woman. It's the young woman's carriage. It belongs to her. It's hers. Né? A carruagem é dela. De quem que é essa carruagem? Dela. So, did Detective Lestrade try to convince the young woman? Yes or no? Yes. What did he try to convince her about? To not ask Sherlock Holmes to come to Ross. Why did he try to convince her of that? Because he believes he has already discovered everything. There is no reason for Sherlock Holmes to come. No need. It's not necessary. Did the young woman listen to him? Did she listen to him? Yes or no? Ela ouviu ele? No, she didn't. She didn't listen. She asked Sherlock Holmes to come e ela também veio. Ela pediu para ele vir e ela também veio. How did she come to the hotel? How did she come to the hotel? How? Did she drive a car? Did she get the bus? Did she ride a bike? She took, she got, she used her carriage. Whose carriage is that? At the door? Whose carriage is that at the door? It's her carriage. It's the young woman's carriage. It belongs to her. It's hers. Esse bombing questions, eu vou até encostar aqui. Esse bombing questions, além de ser um mega jeito de você aprender a pensar e responder prontamente em inglês, ele também é um mega jeito de te explicar o texto sem precisar traduzir. É muito fenomenal, não é? Comenta pra mim lá depois, nos stories, na comunidade, quanto que você experimentou o poder desse negócio. É muito top. É muito top demais. Ok? So. Esse aqui eu pulei esse slide, né? There is nothing Sherlock Holmes can discover. Opa, faltou botar o slide. Que eu, Lestrade, já não tenha feito. Não tem nada que o Sherlock Holmes vai encontrar Eu falei para ela várias vezes, não tem nada que Sherlock Holmes vai encontrar que eu já não encontrei, mas não adiantou nada. Olha lá a carruagem dela na porta. Ok? Ok? So, the detective Lestrade, já fizemos esse, né? Tá, já a gente faz esse aqui agora. Então, still, one has to please a young woman, né? Ainda assim, alguém tem que agradar the young woman, and this one knows exactly what she wants. She has no doubt, no questions, no confusion. She is decided. She knows exactly what she wants. She has heard of Sherlock Holmes, and she decided to ask Sherlock Holmes to come to Ross. Lestrade, I told her again and again that there is nothing Sherlock Holmes can discover that I, Lestrade, have not already discovered, but não adiantou nada. That's her carriage at the door. Olha lá a carruagem dela na porta. As Lestrade, agora o Watson volta a narrar o livro. O Watson volta a narrar o livro. As Detective Lestrade was speaking, during the time Detective Lestrade was speaking, tá aqui embaixo, né? Segundo parágrafo. Enquanto Detective Lestrade was speaking, a young woman hurried into the room. O Dr. Watson narrando. She was one of the prettiest, most beautiful girls I have ever seen in my entire life. One of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen in my entire life. Né? Desde que eu nasci até hoje, she is one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen in my life. Her eyes were shining. Her eyes were shining. Shining. Her eyes were shining. Deixa eu ver se tem mais alguma foto aqui. Mas essa é a ideia, só tem essas duas assim. Shining. É brilhando. Her eyes were shining. Her lips open. Presta atenção. Ele não está querendo dizer her lips were opened. Não é que os lábios estavam abertos. É o estilo de lábio, tipo isso aqui, ó. Her lips open. Não estava descrevendo que naquele momento her lips were opened. Opened com ED no final. Não. De abertos. Não. Estava descrevendo o estilo de lips que ela tinha, que era tipo isso daqui, ó. Open. Não opened com ED no final. Open. De tipo para fora. Igual essa que eu mostrei, igual essa. Igual esse daqui, entendeu? Que tem algumas pessoas que têm lips open, que é mais... Não foi muito feliz a minha tentativa, não. Vai virar meme na internet isso aqui, né? Você entendeu? Open. Não é opened de... Não, que naquele momento estava aberto. Não. É Open de o estilo do lips. Ok? Her lips open. Her lips open. Her lips open. So, her eyes were shining. Her eyes were shining. Her lips open. She was one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen in my entire life. Ready to speak. Tipo, não gaguejava. Ready to speak. And her face, the young woman, her face was pink. The color, pink with excitement. She looked at each of us carefully. Sherlock, she looked at each of us carefully. Watson, Lestrade, carefully. She looked at each of us carefully. She looked at each of us carefully. And then, after, she turned. She turned. Só para não ter confusão. She turned. Ah, tradução não. She turned. Esse é o símbolo de turn, né? Que é quando você faz. O que ela fez? Ela fez com a cabeça dela. She turned. Então ela estava olhando aqui pro Lestrade, olhou para cada um cuidadosamente, and then she turned to my friend e começou a falar. Oh, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, she said. O Watson volta a narrar o livro. She seemed. She appeared to. She looked. Seemed. Parecia to know. Immediately who Sherlock Holmes was. Então, did she know Sherlock Holmes? Had she ever met Sherlock Holmes before? Né? Ela conhecia o Sherlock? Alguma vez na vida ela encontrou o Sherlock? No. Senão não faria sentido o Watson dizer que ela parecia saber imediatamente quem o Sherlock era. Por essa frase, subentende-se que she had never seen, she had never met, she had never encountered, she had never been with Sherlock Holmes before. This was the first time she was seeing Sherlock Holmes. This was the first time they were meeting, encountering, talking to each other. First time. I'm so glad you have come. I'm so happy you have come. I have driven here to tell you this. I know that James didn't do it. I know it, and I want you to know it too. Eu vou ler em voz masculina para evitar possíveis tipo, pelo amor de Deus, não, que coisa insuportável. I am so glad, so happy. I, young woman, I am so happy Então, olha aqui, ó. Tá vendo? Nós temos aqui three people. Sherlock Holmes, Lestrade, Watson, and a young woman. A young woman hurried into the room. I have driven here to tell you this. I know that James did not do it. Okay? So, I have driven here to tell you this. I have come. I have driven my carriage. I have come here to tell you this. I know that James did not do it. He is innocent. I know it. I know it. I know it, and I want you to know it too. I want you, Sherlock Holmes, to know it too. Também saber. Please be quite sure of that fact before you start your work. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, please be, I know James is innocent. He didn't murder his father. He did not murder his father. I know it. He is innocent. I know it, and I want you, Sherlock Holmes, to know it too. Please be, I want you to be quite sure, completely sure of this fact before you start your investigation. I want you to be quite sure, completely sure of that before you start your work, your investigation. I have known James. I have been friends. I have been friends. I have known. I have been friends. I have been walking with James, talking to James. I have been friends with James. I have known him. Eu conheço ele since we were both, me and James, the two of us, we were both, ambos, little children. I have known him. I have been friends with him. Conheço ele desde que we were both little children. And I know his weaknesses better than anyone. I have known him. Peraí. Tá, vamos ler mais um pouco e a gente esquadrinha. He is too soft-hearted to hurt a fly. Anyone who really knows James must believe he is innocent. Então, vamos de novo aqui recapitular. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, lá no último parágrafo aqui dessa página. Pronto, aqui, ó. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, she looked at each of us carefully and then she turned to my friend e falou. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, she said. She seemed to know immediately who Sherlock Holmes was. I am so glad that you have come. I have come here, I have driven my carriage here to tell you this. I know James didn't do it. He is innocent. He did not murder his father. I know it, and I want you, Sherlock Holmes, to know it too. Please be quite sure of that fact before you start your work. I have known James since we were both, the two of us, little children. And I know his weaknesses better than anyone. But he, James, is too soft-hearted to hurt a fly. A gente vai explicar o que é isso aqui. Anyone who really knows James must believe he is innocent. Sherlock Holmes entra. I hope we can show that to be true, Miss Turner. I hope we can show that to be true, Miss Turner. So, who is the woman? Who is the young woman? What's her name? Who is she? Miss Turner, the daughter of Mr. Turner. Miss Turner or Turner, the daughter of Mr. Turner. She is Mr. Turner's daughter. Her name is Miss Turner. Is she happy or sad about the coming of Sherlock Holmes? Happy. She is excited. She is glad. She is happy Sherlock Holmes came. She is happy about the coming of Sherlock. How did she get there? Did she drive a car? Did she ride a bike? Did she get a bus? How did she get there? She drove, past of drive, she drove her carriage. Her carriage. Why did she drive there? Why? Why? I have driven here to tell you this. Why did she drive there to the hotel? To tell Sherlock Holmes that James McCarthy is innocent. She drove, she went to the hotel to speak to Mr. Sherlock Holmes that James McCarthy is innocent. Okay? That is the reason. That is why. That is the reason, the motive. Why she drove to the hotel. To tell Sherlock Holmes that James is innocent. What? Talvez se a gente fosse ser bem piegas, né? Why did she drive to the hotel? Bem preciso, detalhista. To talk to Sherlock Holmes. Se a gente fosse separar bem, né? Why did she drive? To talk, to speak to Sherlock Holmes. What did she want to say to Sherlock? What did she want to talk about with Sherlock Holmes? What did she want to tell Sherlock Holmes? That James McCarthy is innocent. Vou inventar uma pergunta aqui. Who wanted to tell Sherlock Holmes that James McCarthy is innocent? Who wanted to tell Sherlock Holmes that James McCarthy is innocent? Who? Miss Turner. Who did she want to talk to? Who did she want to speak to? To Sherlock Holmes. Where did she drive to talk to Sherlock Holmes? Where did she go to talk to Sherlock Holmes? To the hotel. How did she get to the hotel? How did she go there? She took her carriage. What did she want to talk to Sherlock Holmes about? That James McCarthy is innocent. That James McCarthy is innocent. I have known him since we were both little children. Lembra? I have known, primeira frase aqui, ó. I have known him since we were both little children, and I know his weaknesses better than anyone. Deixa eu até botar aqui, ó. Pronto. I have known. Pronto. I have known him since we were both little children, and I know his weaknesses better than anyone. I have been friends with James since we were both little children. We have been friends for a long time now. Desde criancinha, we have been friends. I have known him. Né? Eu conheço ele, eu sou amiga dele. And I know his weaknesses. I know his defects, his problems, his deficiencies. Weaknesses is the opposite of qualities. So, I have been friends with James. I have known him since we were both little children. I know his problems, his defects, his deficiencies, his weaknesses, fraquezas, opposite of qualities. I know his weaknesses better than anyone. Eu conheço as fraquezas dele melhor do que qualquer pessoa. And I know he is too soft-hearted. O que é soft-hearted? Ela falou aqui, ó. He is too soft-hearted to hurt a fly. He is too kind to people, too gentle to people, too nice to people. He treats people very well. He treats people very well. He is nice to people, gentle to people, kind to people. He is more than soft-hearted, more than kind to people, more than gentle to people, more than nice to people. He more than treats people very well. He can't even hurt a fly. He can't do bad to a single fly. Fly. O que é fly? É isso aqui, ó. Ele é tão coração mole que ele não consegue nem machucar uma mosca. Ele é coração mole demais para machucar sequer uma mosca. Fly. Fly é mosca. É o verbo voar? É, mas também é mosca. Mosca. Pelo contexto, tá na cara que ela quer dizer o quê? O coração dele é tão mole que ele não consegue machucar nem sequer uma mosca. Anyone who really knows James has to, must believe he is innocent. Why? He is too nice, gentle, too soft-hearted, too kind to people. Kind, nice, gentle, soft-hearted, né? Coração mole. Ele não consegue machucar nenhuma mosca. Anyone who really knows James must believe that he is innocent. I hope, I have optimism, I have faith, I have confidence, I hope. Eu tenho esperança. I hope. We can show that to be true. I hope we can prove he is innocent. Miss Turner, disse Sherlock Holmes, e aí ele fala mais uma frase. Opa. Believe me, Miss Turner, I shall do everything possible. I will do everything in my power. I'm gonna do everything that is possible to show, to prove, to demonstrate that James is innocent. Então, se eu te fizer uma pergunta, does Miss Turner believe James is guilty or innocent? Innocent. She believes James is innocent. What about Sherlock Holmes? What does he believe? Does he believe James is guilty or innocent? Innocent. He believes, he and Miss Turner, they believe, he believes, she believes, they believe James is innocent. What does Miss Turner believe? James is innocent. What does Sherlock Holmes believe? James is innocent. What do they, Sherlock and Miss Turner, what do they believe? James is innocent. James is innocent.